Oof. COVID is making its way through StarCraft. Yeah, it's because of Valencia. A lot of people got COVID from Valencia. It makes sense. It was like a big event with a lot of people like congregating in one place. So it did happen. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But thankfully, it did not affect these players here because spawning in the top right-hand corner of Stargazer's ESL, we have the Canadian Protoss player himself representing Team Super. It is TriGGeR. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Stargazer's ESL, we have the American Protoss player currently up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. Representing Alpha X, it is Astrea. Oh, and already a bold move by Astrea going for the gate expand on a map that doesn't have a ramp, so it's that much more riskier to do something like this. But this shows the confidence that Astrea has. Mate, I believe that it doesn't matter that there's no ramp, doesn't matter who you are, I can get away with this. And we'll see if he can as he goes across the map with his probe scout, confirming, yes. We do have, oh my god, is that a full wall? It is. Oh my god. TriGGeR being cheeky himself. He goes for the full wall up. He goes for the 2 gateways. We do see a pylon being thrown down here in the main, in the pocket base for Astrea. We didn't really get to talk about it, but here on Stargazers, we do have a pocket base, so we can afford to fully wall off like this, and we can still expand. But TriGGeR has a probe on the map. He's going for a 1-base split build. He's going for it. Oh my god, he's just gonna proxy a gateway. Let's go. And this is gonna punish the opener of Astrea. Fun fact, TriGGeR hasn't even scouted, but it's possible that Astrea, he's just fond of opening up like this. Again, he's gonna be punished for his low ground wall, potentially. We'll see if Astrea still goes for his natural base. What's a little bit suspect that Astrea should be taking note of, yes, here we go. Astrea sees, hold up, why are you not denying me? Why is there no probe throwing down a pylon to deny my natural base? This is weird. This is suspect. So Astrea actually doesn't throw down the Nexus. He goes for his tech instead. He goes for a quote-unquote proxy Stargate. This is kind of like Blackburn, very short rush distance by air. And because of this, the Oracle is going to zoom across the map real quick. Meanwhile, across the map, oh my god. TriGGeR almost losing that pylon. We'll be able to save it in the end. But the proxy robo has been scouted. No! TriGGeR throws down 2 more pylons. He doubles down here. He wants to make sure this robo stays alive. So we have a proxy robo against proxy Stargate, essentially. Even though the proxy Stargate is kind of safe and sound behind the base, behind the bases of Astrea. Astrea throwing down 2 more shield batteries. He knows how serious this is. Again, he didn't take the bait. He did not expand. And this is gonna get real weird real quick. I think Astrea just wins. There's nothing to stop the Oracle. The Oracle is going to deal an insane amount of damage right now, and TriGGeR is going to have a hard time breaking through the defenses of Astrea. To be fair, Astrea does have an Artosis pylon. This pylon is so vulnerable. We'll see if TriGGeR can break through. He does have the numbers advantage. He does have that immortal. There is no overcharge because there's no Nexus. And here we go, he is breaking on through. At the same time, the Oracle is going ham in the main base of TriGGeR, going to be killing every single worker possible. Meanwhile, TriGGeR doesn't waste any time here at the natural base. He goes straight into the main. I don't know if I like this. Oh my god, and here we go. Warp Gate is going to finish up in a couple of seconds. The pylon is going to be safe and sound. It is going to be able to survive. 1 gateway does get depowered, but we have 1 gateway here that is going to be powered for Astrea. The Void Ray comes on in as well. So far, the micro is pretty good with the help of the Warp Prism. The Immortal is not going to go down. I would love it if TriGGeR turned around and focused down this pylon, not going to lie. But it may not even matter. Here we go. The Void Ray, barely survives. Boys are being pulled, but there's just too much firepower here for TriGGeR across the map. It looks like the Oracle has run out of energy. It's being dealt with. The Void Ray goes down. And with the death of the Void Ray, I think that may just be it. We only have 2 Zealots here remaining to defend for Astrea. What the hell is Zealots going to do? Nothing. They don't have range, puppy. They don't have range. Oh my god, and here we go. Here comes the rest of the Warpins. A second Void Ray coming in from behind. Is it going to be enough? He's going to try and focus down the Prism, and well, we have plenty of Stalkers to help protect. The Prism goes down! What? Oh, and the Void Ray survived. How? What just happened? A little bit of miscontrol there by TriGGeR. He loses everything. Somehow the one Void Ray holds. And now TriGGeR is up in workers, barely. He doesn't have an army. He's warping in two offensive stalkers, sorry. But the Void Ray is going to have the power of the shield battery if he does defend here at the natural. He goes for the pylon. Oh, but the stalkers are here across the map. The Void Ray does get distracted. He has to turn around. He has to fight. One Void Ray versus three stalkers, but the Void Ray gets a stalker and he only loses shields and he can just fall back to the shield battery. The Void Rays are cracked. Oh god, we can't overextend. One more volley. Oh my god, barely he survives on 5 HP. Shield battery gonna help him out a little bit here, but the shield battery goes down. The one pylon, the one gateway. I say the one gateway, but the second gateway is still powered here in the main base. Can Astrea pull this off? He's gonna get almost a free stalker here. Pulls TriGGeR's attention back a little bit. We do have a second Void Ray on the way. Pylons are gonna be falling for both players. Ay, ay, ay. What is this game? He gets the pylon. Now we have two Void Rays. What else do we have in the main base? We will have a shield battery to protect the main. We do still have that warp gate as well, but Astrea is struggling when it comes to the economy. TriGGeR barely has that worker lead again. Robo's gonna get focused down. This doesn't matter too much. I mean, we don't really care about the Robo. I feel like the pylon is more important, to be honest, because it is that that reinforcement point. As the stalkers, they go into the main. Completely bypass the army. The Void Rays are out of position. The stalkers, they go in, and they're gonna be able to focus down on worker after worker. And the Void Rays are zoned away from the shield battery. They can't get close. Yeah, they're gonna try, but here we go. The star stepping is just too good. Both Void Rays survive. But this time it's gonna be too much damage, right? This time TriGGeR has to have the control. 11 probes go down. These two Void Rays, 3 Void Rays, there's no way that they can win this fight. Maybe with the help of the shield battery and overcharge, but again, they just can't get close enough. Oh, and there we go, the final stand. The first Void Ray goes out, second Void Ray goes out, GG gets called, and TriGGeR ties up the series 1-1. Oh my god. We need another Void Ray nerf. True. Oh god. What a game there. Again, I thought the Oracle would do a little bit more for Astrea, but we saw that eventually it did run out of energy, and TriGGeR had really great reaction time, pulling away from his mineral line and keeping his workers alive. Oh my god, I was really worried that TriGGeR dove into the main and he ignored the Artosis pylon, keep powering that gateway and that cyber core as well, that allowed a warp gate to finish. I was a little bit concerned about that, but you know, TriGGeR, he knew exactly what he was doing. Oh god, that was a close game. that was too close for me, too close for comfort. Jesus. And now we're going to the ace match. As a reminder, this is a best of 3, not a best of 2. Oh, sorry, not a best of 5. Or a best of 2, to be fair. One more game. One game to rule them all. One more game to figure out who moves on to face Neeb in that qualifying match. Oh my god. Crazy, mate. The craziest moment was when TriGGeR lost the prism. When TriGGeR ran, like when his prism was just a little bit too far forward and got focused down. I was like, what? Like, because that was basically TriGGeR with Blink. That was the way that he was able to keep his stalkers alive for so long. And then suddenly, with the death of the prism, everything kind of went out the window. That game became so much more closer than it otherwise should have been. That was a wild game. But here we go. Here we go. We're we're getting ready for the next game. Looks like we're gonna have to be remaking our lobby here. Just making sure everyone gets invited. Where is Rotterdam? @/lobby. I think Ruddy went to the bathroom. God damn it, Ruddy. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer here to start game number 3, but yeah, we'll see how this goes. We'll see where this takes us. I do still think that Neeb is still the favorite amongst the 3 of these players, but he has dropped games and dropped series to them before, so could happen again. We'll see as we are getting into Data C. We tried to avoid the PvPs for so long, but we couldn't do it. Not here, not in North America. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Data C ESL, we have the Canadian Protoss player. He is red, representing Team Super. It is TriGGeR. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Data C, we have the American Protoss player representing Alpha X. It is Astrea. This time, both players going for their gate expands. Or should be, you know, bearing in mind that Astrea did set himself up to expand, but he had other plans on Stargazers, did go for the gate Cybercore straight into Stargate instead. But I feel like on Data C that we should have a much more standard opener here. We should have a much more economic opener, at least. As do see a little bit of a head boop there, like a head graze from our 2 players, from our 2 probes, as they do pass by each other, just confirming, okay, you know, there's no like weird like 2 gate opener or anything like that. Everything is looking pretty standard, and yeah, we'll see how long it takes for our players to throw down their bases. Get into the main, just confirming the gases, confirming the pylons as well. Mirror matchup so far, both players doing the exact same thing, both players throwing down their cyber cores as well, as it's what we expect at this stage. And both players even working on their zealots. We're going to see a pylon thrown down by any one of our players. We saw that previously. Oh, no, never mind. Oh, TriGGeR out of position. The probe, I was worried about this. I was worried that it wasn't here on the low ground where it needed to be. Astrea cancels the zealot. He has enough. He has 400 minerals. He throws down the nexus and he gets his base up and running. Meanwhile, across the map, TriGGeR was forced to finish his own nexus was delayed a little bit more, and like that, Astrea takes a little bit of a lead here in the early game. Again, we don't want to make the zealot. We don't want it. We want our bases instead. So very nice moves there by Astrea. A little bit sloppy by TriGGeR, I must say. But now this zealot has work to do. Oh, gets a kill on a probe. Not bad, not bad. It's something at least. As he turns around and goes all the way back home. Meanwhile, both players are following this up with a Stargate. Quickly checking the vision of Astrea. Has he seen this? He still has a probe in the main base. Yes, he has. He is well aware of the Stargate opener. TriGGeR doesn't see anything. So Astrea has an option if he wants. He can go Phoenix right now. He knows his opponent did go for a Stargate. He confirms that it is going to be an Oracle first. And Astrea makes the decision to go for an Oracle of his own. If he wanted to, he could have gone for a Phoenix to try and shut down the Oracle of TriGGeR, but instead he's more concerned with dealing damage as his first adept is here across the map. Oh my god, already getting 3 probe kills. Oh my god. Unfortunately, the wall was not a wall for TriGGeR. And now his Oracle has to deal that much more damage. Oh boy. I'm also a little bit concerned because TriGGeR didn't get into the main base. He doesn't know about the Oracle coming across the map. Oh, until now. Oracle has been spotted. He can prepare back at home. Already intercepting the Oracle here in the middle of the map and already dealing some hull damage. Oh my god. Very nice catch here by TriGGeR. Astrea is forced to turn around. He isn't able to get across the map. He isn't able to get into that mineral line. Nice moves so far. Nice moves. And Astrea canceled the Phoenix. He had a Phoenix on the way. Oh wait, no, nah, I'm just blind. Doesn't cancel the Phoenix. He did end up committing to it. I think what's interesting though is that he doesn't continue Phoenix production. He only got one, so he's only concerned with zoning away and dealing with the first handful of oracles. He isn't too concerned with doubling down and getting map control and focusing on CC. No, he prefers to play with Blink Stalkers. Meanwhile, here we go. 2 oracles do join forces. They do have that one-shot potential. They dive on in. Sure, there's a Phoenix, but it doesn't even matter because 6 more probes go down. Bearing in mind that this is damage that a TriGGeR needed to do because he lost workers to the adepts earlier. So now he's not able to just even things up, even able to take a lead. Oh, he'd love to see it. You know, in the chat, would be a huge upset if TriGGeR beats Astrea. If Astrea beats Neeb, it wouldn't be too weird, I think. True. I think we could all agree, as the Oracle across the map doesn't deal too much, there was a shield battery here already. I think we can all agree that when we think of the top Protosses in North America, I think solidly it's number 1 is Neeb, number 2 is Astrea, and number 3 is TriGGeR. I think there isn't much contention with that. I think number 4 would be Disc. Disc is another player who didn't sign up today, by the way. So I do think that there is like a kind of a solid ranking between the Protoss players in North America. So yeah, it would be weird to see in a way like number 3 come up and kind of punch up in a way. But at the same time, all 3 of them are relatively close in skill. So we'll see. We'll see if the upset can happen. Meanwhile, already we do see, Astrea blinking all the way up into the main base. TriGGeR, his own blink was a little bit late, so now Astrea can deal a little bit of harassing damage. We saw earlier that the Oracle didn't really do too much at all for Astrea. It did nothing, to be honest. But the Stalkers make up for that as 7 probes go down. We see a recall. 2 of these Stalkers do get saved. Oh. Now Astrea is able to regain that lead that he had earlier. Other than that, not too much has been happening. Now both players have caught up when it comes to Blink, when it comes to their upgrades. We do see a slight divergence, and the biggest one is the fact that TriGGeR is going for his Forge. So that kind of shows us that he wants to commit to a more heavy gateway style or a gateway composition. Astrea delaying his Forge or opting not to go for it, going for a Robo instead. So over time, as the game progresses, TriGGeR's Stalkers will just be better than his opponents, but Astrea is going to be able to make up for it here with a faster charge. Oh my god! As TriGGeR blinks on forward and he gets caught in the stasis trap, his feet hasn't even touched the ground, and this is actually pretty huge. If TriGGeR isn't too careful, he may lose everything. He's trying to regain control, he's trying to bring everything together. He has to time this right and attack with everything, otherwise he may just lose too much. And here we go, he joins forces with the rest of his Stalkers. Does have Blink available? It looks like, yeah, he's just gonna have to retreat from here. He doesn't have the numbers. His Stalker count getting even lower and lower. Down 10 workers. And because he was distracted by all of this aggression, even though TriGGeR's Forge timing was faster, he didn't start +1. He ends up starting +1 at the same time as Astrea. So any kind of upgrade lead that TriGGeR could have had now isn't available. Ugh. And it looks like TriGGeR is aware that he's behind. He knows that he's been sustaining a lot of economic losses. He knows that he's been losing a lot of Stalkers as well. He's going for the Dark Shrine. Again, he has to do something to come back. And the Dark Shrine, it can feel a little bit desperate at times, but in PvP, like, it can do a lot. When it comes to detection, sure, we have observers, but at least for Astrea, we only have 1 observer, and it's with the main army. You know, it's relatively slow. It's possible that DTs could sneak into the main or could sneak into the natural and could deal some damage before getting cleaned up. Oh boy. Here we go, as Astrea is finally moving out here. He has the numbers advantage, has the Stalker advantage, I should say. Not just Stalkers, but also Charge Zones. Has to be a little bit careful though. The stasis traps, oh, one of them does get baited out already. There's the second one behind this, but both stasis traps get baited out by a single Zealot. Oh my god. And just like that, Astrea is going for the kill move. He shuts down the Prism. The shield batteries were not ready either. There was no overcharge, and the Zealots are just charging on forward. GG gets called, and Astrea takes the game and the series 2-1. With a very crisp +1 timing there. Oh my god. TriGGeR, he was hedging his bets on those DTs. He was trying to catch up when it came to his third base, when it came to his economy, but yeah, just lost a little bit too much in that early game, going into the mid game. And Astrea, as is expected, is going to be moving on here to the qualifying match. He's going to be moving on to face Neeb. The PvPs continue.